Welcome to the Woodpreneur Podcast, the best podcast for the business and marketing side of the sawmill, lumber, and wood industry. What's a woodpreneur? If you have a business where you make money as a woodworker, sawmill owner, selling slabs, or a content creator, then you're a woodpreneur. My name's Steve Larziliere, and I started Woodpreneur Life, Acres of Timber, and the Woodpreneur Podcast just for makers, wood entrepreneurs, and small business owners just like you. We're on a mission to empower thousands of wood businesses to grow sustainably and put out great products. Each week, I interview makers, sawyers, content creators, and 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs that know the wood industry inside and out. With topics covering everything from the urban lumber movement, sustainable sourcing and design, we'll discuss the ins and outs of how to grow, monetize, and fully immerse yourself in the woodpreneur lifestyle. If you're a hobbyist, a full-time wood business owner, part-time entrepreneur who wants to become a content creator, or quit your day job to pursue your dreams, the Woodpreneur Podcast is just for you. Thanks so much for listening. Now enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. This is your host, Steve. Today's guest is Dagan Koffler from Dagan Design Construction. How you doing, Dagan?
Good. How are you?
Good. Did I get your last name correctly?
Yeah, you did good. Thanks.
Awesome. I have a pretty interesting last name, so it's hard to people always get it wrong. But
My first name usually
once you
gets
tell it,
butchered.
yeah, I could
Yeah.
see that. Could you tell everybody about your design construction business?
Sure. We're a sort of high-end custom residential firm here based in Encinitas, which is North County, San Diego. Our core sort of business and projects are a lot of time we're doing the interior design package for a house, and then our construction
Mhm.
side is executing the construction on our design. So we always call ourselves a hybrid because we still work with some outside designers, but for many projects, we're a design build firm.
How'd you get into this?
Um, Sort of long-winded answer, but I went to school in Sonoma State and played soccer, and then I actually moved to New York. I used to work in the wine industry. But while working in New York, I actually started building photo sets for sort of high-end fashion and stuff. And
Yeah.
then when I came back to San Diego, I mainly actually did kind of like high-end furniture, little sort of projects like that. And then I ended up going to get my GC license. It's been, I think, going on 13 years now. Um, but so I've kind of I've been in various parts of, construction, high-end woodworking, custom furniture, lots of different avenues of building of some way, shape, or form.
So you went to school and then you were working in the wine industry. And
Yeah,
then
that was
how did the wine industry like blend into making photo sets in New York City? Like that's a very
so
interesting path.
the I grew up kind of in a construction site. My dad was a framer. He ended up being a math teacher for 20 years, but prior to that, he was a like sort of commercial framer for a handful of years. So we ended up building the house that I grew up in when I was 8 years old. So I was familiar with the job site, and we were homeowner builders. So the whole family participated in the build. So I was handy enough. I knew how to build stuff even at a young age. So I had a friend in New York who worked in the fashion sort of photo set design space, and sort of happened where there was a couple sets that needed to be built. I could easily do it, and then it sort of transpired into kind of a business. And it's kind of very unique. So I used to build kitchens a lot because we would work for like brands like Kraft Food, and you see
Yeah.
these, magazine spots, and they're actually in like a New York loft, and it's just this random kitchen that's propped up for a day to get those photo shots. So we used to build like
That's
random
wild.
kitchens. We would just do any backdrop. I worked for Victoria's Secret a few times, and we would make these sort of beachscapes. They were supposed to look like the Hamptons, beachscape. So we would just kind of have to do whatever they asked, like whatever the backdrop they were looking for. We would execute, and it was super fast paced because it was like you had the set had to be ready like day one. They took all the shots they need to get their shot list, 10 shots, and then had to be broken down that afternoon. So it was like super high pace, which is fun because it kind of made you work on your toes and problem solve and all that good stuff.
Wow. Wow. And
Cool.
then, so after New York, did you like sell that business? Did you close it down? What did you do with it?
No, I didn't. It wasn't my own business. I just worked for this prop designer, so I was just sort of like a subcontractor of them. So it
Yeah,
was really interesting though. So I was working two jobs. I work at night at restaurants, and then I would be building these sets in the day. So I was kind of always just hustling.
wow. And then you moved back to San Diego?
I did, yeah. So I had like a 5 year stint in New York, and then moved back to San Diego, where I'm from, and that's when I pursued my general contractor license, and then opened
Mm.
up, what is now my construction design build firm.
How how did you how did you get your first bit of clients?
It's a random sort of. I think I got a handful of referrals from family and friends, and they were like, for like, I always say this because like for like the first year or two, I was like the pergola man. I built like 10 pergolas a year. And I don't know why, but I
Hmm.
just like was doing all these sort of outdoor projects. I was building fences, I was building pergolas. And then
Yeah, yeah,
I think one of those friends, I got like a pretty substantial remodel project. And then, once that remodel project was done, you get a little publicity, you get a review, and then it kind of spirals. So the first couple, I think, were just a couple family friend referrals, and then I think I
yeah,
got one independent remodel on my own, and then after that, the wheels were spinning a little bit, and projects were coming our way, and we work in a very small radius, so if you do good work and you get a good reputation, you kind of you build off of that.
yeah, yeah. Did and yeah, the North County is pretty small and tight knit. That word probably travels super fast, right?
Yeah, and we really work in like three little cities or four little cities that are all sort of confined on this coastal area. And now we have a lot of like good networking partners. We have some real estate agents that bring us in when they have a new client coming in. We do work with a handful of designers. We have a couple architects that like to work with us. So, once you get your sort of group of people that you like to work with, then sort of you feed each other jobs, and you choose to work with each other. So
For sure.
that's where sort of the work sort of steadily comes in as you sort of create this network of people.
How at what level did you start to really say like, all right, this is where I'm taking it seriously. I'm gonna make these types of investments to get the business to a good level. What do you remember when that was, and what those specific things you invested in were?
Yeah, I don't think I did it probably in the most strategic, smart way, but you get a couple inquiries. Sometimes they're probably bigger than the company you have currently can handle, but I can't remember the quote, but Richard Branson had some like quote is like, if an opportunity presents itself that you're not comfortable with, take it and figure it out. And that's kind of like
Mm.
my mantra was. A couple of these larger projects came through, and they were a little bit like larger than what I was comfortable with. But we took the job and we ran with it and we learned from it. So I think I did actually take on a couple large projects, and I did them basically by myself because I was on my own
Mhm.
without any employees for quite a few years. Um, but then I learned like what I do well and what I don't do well in the business. So I learned pretty quickly. I suck at keeping track of all my invoicing. I was always late on that. Accounting. I wanted to be in the field and get the job right, and I started
Yeah,
had to look at myself and say what am I good at, what could I use some support on? And so my first couple of hires was like someone said, you need to get an accountant, you need to get like an office manager to help you with those sort of organization, standard operating procedures. So that was probably my first like real good thought about how am I going to grow this business, organize myself, and be able to put my best foot forward on what I do best. And so
yeah,
that's actually been good, and it's been it's a learning curve as far as like what you do and don't need, and how many people do you need, and where's that fine line of efficiency. Um, but I think once I finished those couple projects and realized like I was overloaded in these categories, then I needed to take some steps
Mhm.
to sort of relieve some of those things.
So you hired like an admin at first, right? To
Yeah,
help
I
with
hired.
invoice.
It's funny. She started as a like part-time bookkeeper. I think the
Hmm.
first week she worked 40 hours a week, and then she's been here for like 2, 3 years.
All
And
right.
now she's my office manager, and
Well,
she's
wait,
great.
hold up. You didn't start bringing on like people until like 3 years ago, or
I think it's been about 4 or 5 years now. I had a couple temp people. I had finished
Mhm.
carpenters, but I didn't have any really back of staff sort of
Back
help.
office?
Back office,
Yeah,
yeah. So I really did like when people realized that I was running like these projects, these fairly large projects, I was basically on my own. It's always I still don't know what I was doing or how I did it, but um, there was a
that's
few projects
impressive.
we
That's
yeah, I
impressive.
guess,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you
I'll take it.
are
Yeah.
you are you are you a control freak?
Um, yes and no. Like I've learned as far as like this is one of the things that you don't get taught as far as when you start a business is how do you manage people? And I've learned like you have to give them a little bit of rope, but you also have to guide them on what that's supposed to be. So I like to give people freedom, but with a controlled environment of like these are the steps that has to get done, but then like please be creative, come up with creative solutions for these problems. But like as the
Mhm.
company, these are the like the 5 things you got to get done every day for us to be proficient and efficient in our world. Um, so I've made mistakes. Like I would hire people and be like, you said this is your job, like go for it. And then like, they're not doing the 12 steps that we needed to get done. And so I've learned you do have to set up some pretty good systems, not in a very
Yeah,
controlling way, but like these are the core things that the company needs to have to operate smoothly. But after that, like
yeah.
we want you to be creative thinkers and help us out and make this company better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And part of that, like, did you get any like extra learning or mentorship or coaching on just like how to be a better leader, how to build systems, or were you like, figuring out podcasts, reading business books, or you know what I mean? Like, how did you learn what you needed to do to get to the different levels in your business?
I mean, I would say a lot of it's like failing, trial and error. You get
Mm,
some big hiccups. But I do agree, podcasts are actually pretty powerful. I
mm-hmm.
listen to a handful of them regularly, like Brad Levitt and AFT podcast and Modern Craftsman and Curious Builder and some of
Yeah,
these ones. There's really good content. So if you dive into those, the people that are on those shows are a lot of time in my same wheelhouse. So you learn a lot. And
yeah.
then as of recently, this year, I'm now part of a Builder 20 group,
Okay.
which is through the National Home Builder Association. And that's actually been a pretty awesome. I wish I had that sooner.
Yeah,
'Cause it's basically 20 like-minded builders who share all the same frustrations. And you have a platform forum to ask these very specialized people questions. They're going through the same stuff. And every time someone proposes a question on our forum, it's like, yep, I went through that last year. And same guy, like, yeah, I had something like that 2 years ago. And so it's super powerful. And I'm really fortunate and happy that I was able to get into a Builder 20 group. But for people that are in my position 6 years ago, if you can, weasel your way into a Builder 20 group or use those national home builder forums, they're really quite powerful. And you just got to ask questions because you're not going to get an
yeah,
answer
yeah.
unless you ask a question.
I think part of sometimes too, like I found with clients, sometimes you don't know the right question to ask, or you don't know how to ask questions. Because you know how sometimes like you can just get caught up figuring it out, and then you like, I don't know if you're the type of person like what you said, like you go through and then you fail, right? And then you learn from the failure. But if you can get to a point where you can almost have a roadmap and have people alongside you guide you on the path, that would probably be the most ideal, right?
For sure. I think with construction is just so all over the map. You can
Mm-hmm.
you can go through this one situation 20 times, but then the 21st, it might be different. And that's like
Yeah.
where it's just like so crazy. And, every time we have like some hiccup at a punch list or something, or just some random something that happened, our team will get together and like, what could we have done to like prevent this? And we're like, we'll do this 100 more times and this will never happen again. And it's just like,
Yeah.
sometimes that's just construction. But, I do believe that if you do fail, evaluate what happened, why, what are the steps
Mhm.
to not make that happen again? Is there a procedure that you could have gone through? And that's sort of, the best learning that you could do is, hard knocks life or what do you want to call it. But you gotta learn from your mistakes, and you're going to make a ton of mistakes in construction. It's just
Yeah.
it's a hard business. It's not a manufacturing where you can get it down to this precision. And custom home building it's crazy, remodeling a
Yeah.
50-year-old home that's gone through 12 crappy remodels, and now we're gutting the place, and you're all kinds of surprises and fixes, and there's billions of materials that we use now in these high-end homes, and sometimes they're a
Yeah.
material we haven't used before. We got to figure out how do we execute that correctly. And um, so, I wish there was a perfect roadmap. I think you could try to ask as
Yeah.
many questions as you can to builder 20 groups and people like-minded. Um, but yeah, I don't think that you're not going to fail in this business at some way, shape, or form of time.
Interesting. Hey, what
Yeah.
so talk about your main products and services. How much between remodeling versus new construction? What do you do more of?
More remodeling because I've talked on the podcast. Permitting here is super challenging. So
Hmm.
building a new home is a very long and expensive permitting process. So most people opt
Yeah.
to do like a large scale remodel or addition. So that's
Hmm.
kind of the core of our business is like whole house remodels with an ADU or an addition to that home. Um,
Yeah.
so I would say, for every one new construction, we're doing 5 to 10 remodel, large renovations,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
based on the
And
quantity of new construction.
and for the most part, you're selling a design, and then your construction is fulfilling that, right?
Yeah, so we're both. So we for many years just did the construction side of things. So first and foremost,
Hmm.
we're actually we're a construction company. We're a home builder. And
Yeah.
then we now have two designers on staff. So most of our projects now are both. So we almost never get hired. No, I shouldn't say never. We're working on it, but we don't get hired as often for just design. It's usually for both design and the construction.
Got you. Got you. Got you. And what's uh what's been one of the most rewarding things about doing your business?
When you have a successful project and you have a happy homeowner that loves their home, after all the trials and tribulations of getting to that point, it's fairly rewarding. And you get to create stuff. So, it's pretty fun when I cruise around with my kids and like, check that house out. Dad built that. And like, oh, that's
I did
cool.
that. I did that. Yeah.
I did that. Yeah. So that's very rewarding, in this small town. You can kind of drive around and be like, yeah, that was a project. I built that house and I did that one. And, it's pretty cool to create something physical that's, going to be there for a long time and people are enjoying
That's
it and
gonna be
families are
there.
raised there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably
That's
the most
fun.
rewarding is the physical thing that you created. Like, yeah, we designed that, we built it, and it's a cool house.
Um, and California is a very interesting place. How would you I mean, I know that there's probably other people like you in your town. Like, what do you think makes you stand out versus others? Or like what's your sort of unique special sauce um that you think why you win bids over other people, you think?
I think a lot of it's like track record in this world. We do
Hmm.
design build, and that it's sort of come to be a design build form because we kept getting asked a lot. Um,
Yeah.
like I said, the permitting is really challenging. So people would like hire an architect, and they'd go down this long road, and they would get this house designed. And then the architect would be like, all right, you should go talk to builders. And then they talk to a builder or they need to go get an interior designer. And then they spend a long time with the interior designer. And then they go talk to a builder. And like what they had was like 3 times their budget. So like They did all that
Mm,
work for no reason, and then the project never got built because it was too expensive. And so we saw that like happen a lot. And so like this design build sort of streamlined that process and sort of kept the designers in the same wheelhouse as the builder. So as we're designing, we're kind of understanding like where you want to be, what your aesthetic is, how can we best, build this at the budget you have. And so I think that's been a selling point, is that we're pretty efficient on like designing to what works for you and what works for you budget wise. So we're not wasting time and the project doesn't not get built. I've had,
yeah.
I've bid probably 10 projects in the last 3 years that are just never going to get built because they went to an architect and interior designer and they never talked to a
Yeah.
builder and it's way too expensive. And so the project's just dead. It's just never going to get built probably, or they're going to have to, go talk to a design build firm and build something way smaller scale. So I think that's been an advantage for us, is to use our sort of design in-house and be efficient about the proposals and bidding it out. And then we're pretty experienced in our local municipalities, which is also helpful. I've won
Yeah.
a handful of projects where people are in escrow and they called like their title company, they've called like everyone, and they can't get an answer on what I can and can't do at my house. And we've just been doing it long enough. We're like, well, your setbacks are X, Y, and Z. Your FAR is this. Your lot coverage is this. You probably can do 1,000 square foot remodel, 4 to 6 months. We can give them some parameters that like give them
Yeah.
some
Yeah. Yeah.
confidence
Yeah.
going into this.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to find. It's hard.
Yeah. So it sounds like your differentiators are like, A, you know the process, and the fact that you have design and construction in one, you can be a one-stop shop for folks, right? And
Correct.
then two, the fact that you've done so many in the track record. So it's almost like you stayed in your lane. And so it's from a uh, customer experience, it is potentially, um, it is more streamlined, right? And so people
Correct.
probably have the confidence in knowing that like you can deliver what you say you can because of the experience and the fact
Yeah.
that you've done it in your town for so long, right?
Correct. Yeah, people really always
Yeah.
ask that. Like, we just want one point of contact. That's like a big like catchphrase.
Yeah.
We just want one
Yeah.
point of contact because they don't want to call the architect, and the architect has to call the designer, and then the designer's got to call the builder, and then we have
Mm,
to circle around and get 15 sign-offs to move a door 3 inches, and that could take 2 weeks. Where it's all in house, call me. I'll talk to my designer. We could probably get it done in 5 minutes. So those
yeah.
efficiencies are big. And I've been on the other side where it takes 15 phone calls and two conference calls and a Zoom just to like figure out, can we move that door 3 inches to the left, and like the short answer is yes, let's just get it done. um,
Yeah.
so there is some, there are projects that just, they're big enough where you need a big design staff and an architectural staff, and it is what it is. But a lot of other projects are efficient sort of in sort of the setup that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there when you look at your designers, so how many of you are now total in the business?
Uh, so there's two designers. I have office manager, superintendent, PM, second office staff, and then we have a fairly big field staff too. I think we have, it fluctuates between like 8 and 12 guys in the field um,
Mm.
on the construction side. We also own a landscaping company. We're two companies, so we hold a C-27
Landscape
too.
design, like design
Design
build,
and build,
or
yeah. So we do, most of the time we're
that's fun.
doing the design of the main house, the build of the main house, design of the landscape, and the construction. So, you know,
Is
most
that
of the
is
time we're
that
doing the
two
whole house.
separate companies? Two
It's two
separate
separate
companies,
companies.
or
Yep,
under the same brand or different?
different brands. So it's DDC Landscape and Dagan Design Construction. So it's a separate S corp, separate license, everything.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
It sounds like you kind of like to like you have your core, but you like to um you might it sounds like you like solving problems using your unique skill set, right? is that
yeah, for
is
sure.
that
I mean,
accurate? Yeah.
the company started because we were doing all these projects where we would have to manage the landscape contractor on it, and we were doing so much work for free. And I had masons and guys that did foundation work that worked for me, and so it just sort of like happened where it was like, why don't I just go get my C27 and start a new company, and we'll just take on the landscape side of it. And so that's kind of what we did. Um, and so
Wow.
we do both. So sometimes we're doing the whole estate, um, but
Yeah.
we also, the landscape company does projects on its own all the time now.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
so cool. Um, and then that has its own team and staff and everything?
So the back of the house staff, like my accountant and stuff, she runs like 4 company books,
Yeah.
and then I have another project manager just on the landscape side, and then
Hmm.
we have in the field there we same thing, we fluctuate between about 8 and 10 guys. That sort of we self perform almost everything on the landscape side.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Hey everyone, Steve here. You know, I've been thinking a lot about how we can all push our wood businesses forward, especially in these times when adapting and innovating are more important than ever. That's why I'm thrilled to introduce something brand new from Woodpreneur Podcast, and it's the Woodpreneur Live Sawmill and Lumber Business Summit. Mark your calendars for May 17th because we're creating a space where you can dive deep into the latest strategies for marketing, branding, and scaling your business. And here's the cool part. It's entirely up to you how you want to experience this. Join us virtually from your workshop or in person at Woodmiser in Portland, Oregon. Either way, you're going to be part of a community looking to grow and thrive together. This summit is the kickoff to our Woodpreneur Live series, focusing on bringing actionable insights to every niche within the woodworking and sawmill and lumber industry business owners. And you're up first. We got a lineup that's going to blow you away. Real talk from real experts who understand the nitty gritty of our trade. You want in? Head over to woodpreneur.com/live. Once again, that's woodpreneur.com/live to get on the wait list. Being on this list means that you get first dibs on registration because space will be limited. I look forward to seeing you at one of the upcoming Woodpreneur Lives, and head over and get yourself registered. Take care. How much time do you spend on like culture, team building culture? Do you think
More
a
and
lot
more
about
lately.
that?
Yeah, we do. It wasn't like on my radar prior.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we've
yeah.
gotten to really like, since the staff has grown, it's been something that I've needed to be like more conscious of.
Yeah.
So we've done like team building stuff, and we've sort of like tried to I just try to like have a nice environment. Like I want people to grow and I want people to enjoy what they're doing. Like I
Yeah.
said, I try to give them a little bit of freedom to like feel good about their job and feel empowered. But on top of that,
Yeah.
like also just like to be a fun company to work for. Like, we went bowling a couple months ago as a whole team, and I'm taking a handful of the team to IBS this year in Las Vegas so they can,
Oh,
network with
cool.
other people. So I'm trying to, create those opportunities where people feel like, like there's someone here and they should be appreciated, and help them grow in their specific field. So I do, it's something that as you grow as a company and you have more staff, you have to really think about um, how to make that environment better for everyone.
So cool. Hey, did you
Yeah.
your portfolio on one of your portfolio, the Encinitas Crest, is that Crest
Yeah.
Drive?
It's
That's
it's over in that
interesting.
vicinity. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, my yeah, that's where my that area my friend lives in that area, which is such a beautiful part of Encinitas.
Yeah. So I'm building my house very close to there right now.
Okay, cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's a
Um
great area. It's pretty.
so this is a part of podcast where I give you any marketing or business advice. Is there anything that you need help thinking through, or any advice that I could give marketing business related?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to, we're pretty active on, social medias and stuff, but we're always trying to like understand what's the best avenue, where to
Hmm.
spend your time, So I'm always curious, like other like-minded people that are working in that space. Where do you see social media? Is Instagram still the king? Where to spend your time and money?
Yeah. So I like I mean you do spend time on social. Your what's DDC and Co. Now you have like you have a retail place as well?
Yeah, so we have an import business. So I import a like a custom furniture line from Colombia. Um,
Sick.
and we partner with sort of indigenous like craft people. So there's these sort of
Yeah.
ancient crafts, and I go to this design fair every year, and I try to partner with a couple and bring in whatever unique thing that they do that has a good translation to like a California market. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
the main furniture line is Tucarenca, which is on the coast. It's called a Caribe chair. It's meant to be like the original like rocking Caribbean chair, and so they've
Yeah, yeah,
taken it
yeah.
sort of like to a high design. Yeah, so that's we incorporate a good amount of our furniture into like our landscape projects and house projects. Um,
Yeah.
so again, like you said, like problem solving. Like I saw that we were purchasing from all these just random retailers. I was like, why don't we figure out a way to bring something unique into the market, and we can benefit from it too.
Dude, you're a beast. You're a
Trying,
beast.
it's fun.
That's so cool,
Serial
man. You're
entrepreneur.
like, yeah, no, I love it just because you're like you keep solving problems and anticipating what your clients need and knowing. I mean, this is like literally sort of textbook what I tell my clients to do is like to be able to go all in on your niche and the style, and your niche can be your service, it could be your area, or it could be a particular type of customer profile, right? And
Hmm.
then once you start to really get to know them, then it allows you to like anticipate what needs next, right? So like you did it with landscape, then you did it with furniture. I bet you there's probably a millwork in your dream, right? Like a
I've
cabinet
thought
shop
of buying
that's
a cabinet shop. Yeah, I've thought of it many times. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So it's like anticipating every part of the process. So the question is like, so how should you be maximizing social media? Like what's the next thing that you should be doing? So for me, I like uh I like the fact that you're in front of the camera. That is awesome. And so
I've been pushed the last year to do that.
the in front of the camera, what that does um, is not just tell your story, but it puts you in a leadership position because someone is filming you. It's not you filming yourself. And what it does is just kind of create authority and perspective for a client, right? And because there's distance there, so I would say continue that. Um, what I would do more of, and if possible, is to and it's very very simple. It's like a is that your uh, social media is becoming more search engine. So content is the new search engine optimization, meaning that your captions need to be optimized, right? Um, your profile needs to be optimized with keywords, um, and your caption. Oh, and then the words that you use in your reels.
Hmm.
People can search those now too, and then they show up
Right.
on your explore page.
Yeah,
So
my gal told me about that.
what I don't see is I don't know where the hell you are in the world on
Okay,
any
that's
of your
interesting.
platforms.
Okay,
Like there's no Encinitas, there's no North County, San Diego, there's no Carlsbad, there's like nothing in your
that's
at least
interesting.
on your, you know what I mean? And I feel like we overlook it, right? Because we're just posting and we're not thinking about this sort of stuff. So like for me, I believe that you should go in and I would update design build the like where it says your name I would update your name so that it's design build firm, North County,
Interesting.
San Diego, Encinitas. Like I put Encinitas, Carlsbad, like just your main hubs. I would put that there. Just design, build, construction, Encinitas.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, so that's one thing. I would also optimize your highlights on your, at least I'm just looking at your Instagram. Um, the other thing that I saw uh, is, I said this to somebody else too, and let me see if it holds true. Um, so I saw, yeah, you did like a before and after video, which is awesome, right? Or I
Yeah, we
think
do a
there's just
handful of
some
those,
video. So I would write articles based off of each project in your portfolio.
like blogs type stuff.
Blogs. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
summary, case study. That's another thing. And then the last thing is very crucial, is you need to get your customers in your video, your social media, and on your sites. So like so much, and this is like natural. This is totally
Yeah.
natural for businesses to do. They want the product to speak for itself. Take beautiful photos, before and afters, videos, that sort of stuff. But what makes um, Porsche or Mercedes sell really well is not just the product, but seeing somebody that looks like them with that product.
Yeah.
So if
Interesting.
you can get your clients to give testimonials, or you're taking selfies with your clients, or you're showing, I mean, this is even better, show them living in it. And so you can literally go back to your customers, the ones that you're done with, like, hey, we want to go back and do, come back and check out the project after. Now they're living in it. You can give them a gift card to, like DoorDash as a thank you, but you want to go in and film the whole thing and just like have you like have them tell you how they're using your space, and you create videos off of that. If you create a 5 or 10 minute video off of like a profile of a customer, why they picked you, did all of this stuff, and then you do walkthrough, you can then take that photo and the content, and then chop it up and now make even more social, and then take that 3 minute video and then run ads to it, because it's literally like a profile of a family that looks like them in your town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's
I would
interesting.
go deeper with I would go deeper with the storytelling. So
Okay.
like, step one, you did an amazing job getting in front of the camera. B, now you need to show the people behind the camera. Well, I'm sorry, show the clients, show your clients now, and then optimize your profiles. So I
That's cool.
think that
That's
would
interesting.
be that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be, again, for me. It's like, I mean, you could probably go crazy with this furniture too. Like the furniture stuff would be its own. I mean, you could probably even do do dining tables too. Or you're not doing dining tables, are you?
We haven't. We have a couple people locally where we do end up building a lot of the furniture for our houses.
Yeah, yeah,
Not personally anymore, but we have companies like
yeah.
we usually end up building the dining table or a built-in breakfast nook.
Sure,
We do
sure.
have like custom. We'll design our own chairs for certain places. Like for my house, I designed my headboard. I designed all my nightstands. I designed all my rugs. I'm designing two chairs for the house. So I'm having someone build them,
Sick.
but we're designing a lot of them. So it's hard
That's
with
awesome.
that company because there's only so much I can design for them. It's sort of like their catalog and their wheelhouse. I'm sort of like
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
the importer, so to speak, distributor. Um,
Sure, sure.
but yeah, I haven't wanted to dabble into like custom furniture line because there's a lot of people in our hood that does that.
In your neck of the woods. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are just more efficient than I am at it.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Was that advice helpful?
Yeah, yeah. The client thing we've thought a lot about. It's actually the hardest part is not every client really wants to be in front of the camera. Almost none of our clients want to.
For
Even
sure.
so far as like we only get to show maybe 60% of our projects because they just don't want any social on their houses. Um, we haven't had to go so far as like to sign like non-disclosures, like NDAs, but
Yeah,
we only get access to like 50% of the homes to actually show. And of that 50%, maybe 10 to 20 might be interested in on camera. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
our
yeah,
biggest
yeah.
challenge with the clients is just not a lot of them want to be on camera or
Yeah.
show their house for privacy reasons and things like that. So we thought a lot about. We do have a couple that I think are willing to do it.
Yeah, you don't need a lot. You don't need a lot. It's not like everybody, but I would
Yeah,
go, go to the ones that are the most. I don't know that the ones that are most receptive. I would definitely
yeah,
do.
for sure. We
So
have a couple outgoing families, and they they have an outdoor lifestyle, and so we had a couple that we actually were planning on doing in the next couple months here. So it was definitely on our
cool,
radar, and we had thought about we need like a nice video client testimonial like in their space. So it
for
was
sure.
good to get that confirmation. It's a good thing to do.
Cool, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dagan, for your time.
yeah, that's fun.
Tell everybody what's your website and your Instagram so they can follow you.
So DaganDesignConstruction.com is the construction website, and the Instagram handles are at Dagan Design, at DDC Landscape, and at DDC and Co. Yeah, it's pretty easy to find us if you type in Dagan Construction, Dagan Design, you'll see us pop up pretty quickly.
Cool. Thank you so much, Dagan, for your time. I look forward to
Appreciate
getting your
it.
story out. All
Cool,
right,
man.
take
Thank
care.
you.